The Midnight Library Heist, Part 1, The Break-In. The clock struck midnight as the four shadows crept through the overgrown courtyard of the long-abandoned St. Augustine Library. The moonlight seeped through the cracks in the crumbling stone walls, casting jagged patterns across the ground. Every step they took seemed to echo louder than it should have, as if the building itself was aware of their presence. "Keep it quiet," hissed Lydia, her voice sharp and commanding. She was the leader, a mastermind, with a knack for high-risk, high-reward jobs. Her steely gray eyes never wavered as she glared at the others. "We're not alone in here." Behind her, Cole, the muscle of the group, smirked and adjusted his black gloves. "What, you think the ghosts are going to stop us?" he whispered, clearly unimpressed by the library's reputation. "It's just an old building with dusty books." "That's what they said about the Blackwell job," muttered Ethan, the wiry tech expert. He carried an advanced scanner in one hand and a flashlight in the other. "And I still have nightmares about that cursed vault." "Enough," Lydia snapped. "Focus. We're here for one thing, the Book of Edits. If the rumors are true, it's worth more than all of us combined. Stay sharp." The fourth member, Serena, remained silent, her eyes darting around the darkened corridor. She was the wild card, a master of locks and sleight of hand, but she had always been unnervingly quiet about her past. She paused, her breath catching, as she swore she saw a shadow move across the far wall. But when she turned her flashlight in that direction, there was nothing there. The group moved deeper into the library, the air growing colder with every step. The ornate bookshelves, once grand and imposing, now stood as decayed skeletons of their former selves. Books lay scattered across the floor, their pages yellowed and brittle. Yet, despite the age of the place, there was no dust. Nothing to suggest this library had been untouched for centuries. It was as though something or someone had been keeping it alive. "Creepy," Cole muttered, his bravado faltering. "Where's this hidden chamber you mentioned, Lydia?" She pulled out an old tattered map, rumored to have been stolen from a collector who had died under mysterious circumstances. "The main hall," she said, pointing to a large circular room at the center of the building. "That's where we'll find the door." As they approached the main hall, the whispers began. At first, they thought it was the wind, a faint murmur that seemed to drift through the cracks in the walls. But then the sound grew louder, more distinct. Words in a language none of them recognized filled the air, swirling around them like an invisible storm. "Do you hear that?" Serena whispered, her voice trembling. "Yeah," Ethan said, his face pale. "And I don't think it's just the wind." The group froze as the whispers suddenly stopped. The silence that followed was deafening, pressing down on them like a weight. Slowly, Lydia pushed open the heavy wooden doors to the main hall. The room was massive, with a domed ceiling that seemed impossibly high. At the center stood a pedestal, and on it rested a book unlike any they had ever seen. Its cover was made of black leather that seemed to shimmer and shift, as though it were alive. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its surface, pulsating like a heartbeat. "That's it," Lydia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The Book of Edits." As she stepped forward, a sudden chill swept through the room. The doors behind them slammed shut with a thunderous crash, and the flickering candlelight that had illuminated the hall vanished, plunging them into darkness. "Lydia," Ethan said, his voice shaking, "I don't think we're supposed to be here." Ignoring him, Lydia reached out and touched the book. The moment her fingers made contact, a blinding light filled the room. The whispers returned, louder and more frenzied, as though the library itself was screaming, and then the ground began to shake. To be continued in Part 2.